right now, that would have been so sad.
That
See,
would've been-
Benetta's already like, see, that's why. Thank you so much. See, I mean,
Benetta, she will come for you after this is
Benetta's like, wait, what? It didn't get recorded. What do you mean? Do it again. All right, let's start that over. First on the panel is Miss AdeOla Fadumiye, who is the owner of Crys Tiana, a podcast management and support company. She is an online business manager with a special emphasis on podcast management. She has more than a decade of experience in project and event management, working with nonprofits, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. She is solution-oriented, forward-thinking, and strategic. Welcome, 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 Miss AdeOla. I'm so happy to have you here. Next up, I'm going to introduce Miss Ashley-Dior Thomas. Ashley-Dior Thomas is a dedicated executive with over a decade of professional experience working in the public and private sector. Bringing her love of multitasking, efficiency, and project management to her profession, bolstering executives and national organizations through relationship building. Ashley-Dior is the master connector. Woo woo! Welcome, welcome, Ashley-Dior.
Hey, everybody.
Yes. I love all these ladies. I feel like I want to just like say a little piece about each one of them, like, but I won't because that's going to just take up so much time. But I just love all these ladies. Last but certainly not least is Miss Kiva Slade. Kiva is an online business manager, OBM, certified Fix This Next coach and business strategist. She loves combining her fact-finding strategy and execution skills as they make her feel like a cross between Wonder Woman and the Bionic Woman. While her business is less than 1 year old, she's serving up 20 plus years of experience. So welcome, 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 Miss Kiva Slade. Woo! I love it. So what I want to kind of start off with, just to give everybody a sense of who you are, where you came from. My first question is kind of about your background. What's your story? Kind of how did you get into this work? So if you guys could just tell me a little bit about your story and what exactly it is that you do in this space, and how did you get into doing this work? And I'll start from AdeOla, Ashley-Dior, and then Kiva.
Thanks, Melina. So, like she said, I am an OBM, but I've recently niched into managing podcasts for business owners and entrepreneurs that want to and use podcasting as a key marketing strategy for their business. But my background is actually in storytelling. My background is in PR. And over the years, I have grown from, I believe with podcasting, I still do PR stuff, but I dived into project management over a decade ago. And that has been the path that has brought me to where I am today. So I've done event planning, project management, managed photo shoots, video shoots, and then dived into managing businesses for a few years, and then narrowed down into podcast management. So my background is in PR storytelling and in project management. And what I do now, I do enjoy because it brings my storytelling skills and my project management skills under one umbrella. Because podcasting is a storytelling platform. It's a marketing platform, but it's primarily a storytelling platform. And so that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yes. I love it. And I love the niche down aspect of, kind of how you started out big and now you are focused in on that area and bringing all of that experience to that area. So any of you guys who are into podcasting, I definitely want to make sure you are listening up to this lady. So Ashley-Dior, tell us a little bit about you and your story, how you got here.
So it's hard to quantify exactly what I do, because it's like when people work with me, they're like, oh, I've been waiting for you. So I say that because, when people ask you, so what is your dream job? I often tell people I'm creating my dream job. So I don't know what it is. There's not a blueprint for it. And my background is, so January 2017, I quote unquote retired after working 7.5 years on Capitol Hill as an executive assistant and a scheduler for both the House and the Senate. And as you can imagine, being the right-hand person and everybody has to go through you, whether it's the staff and or, meeting requests, I learned very quickly that my first instinct for everything I did had to be correct, or else there's going to be dire consequences. So after having all of that experience, and also realizing when I was on the Senate side that I was only one of 3 Black executive assistants or schedulers in the whole Senate, one of 2, and the other 2 are my good friends, that the admin side is, the operational side of the Hill is kind of a afterthought. So you automatically think of policy, think of communications, but you never think of schedulers, admin. We're like the unsung heroes. But at the same time, people of access and power knew if you wanted to get to the member, you had to get to the scheduler. So I quickly realized my power, and that's what I try and inspire in other people, specifically women, is that just because it's a thankless job, which is what they call schedulers all the time, you would be surprised at how much you could sway an entire office or meeting, whatever the case may be. So I realized I love the work, but the hours were grueling, 24/7. I had people contact me, email, phone call, fax, pigeon carrier, text, all the time. So when you do that for 7.5 years, it's time to retire. So I'm taking all my skill sets and now helping small business owners to be more efficient, effective, and relatable, because I realize that there's a lot of waste in business, specifically on the operational side. And that's what I'm trying to whip people into shapes, because my ultimate goal is not people to be operationally sound, but my ultimate goal is to let people be more financially free. So that's my way to get there.
Great. Yes, taking them skills and building something that isn't killing me so slowly. I love it. I love it. So, and actually, I'm just going to take a couple notes. All right. Miss Kiva, you are next, my dear. Tell us a little bit about you, how you got to what you're doing and what it is that you do as well.
Yes, I can so attest to everything Ashley just shared. And my background is the policy side. So I was also on Capitol Hill, but as a legislative director, and she just dropped gems, because people want to go to the policy people. You couldn't even talk to us without going through the scheduler. And if you want to get to the member, you better go ahead and wine and dine her, because she was the straight gatekeeper. So I love that she's sharing that side of it, because so many people do focus on the policy side. But I did that. I did nonprofits and really focused on policy work. My background was political science, public administration, and my master's degree. And it's like, oh, politics is my life. The hours are grueling. My mother used to joke and be like, seriously, sweetie? You make $1 an hour by the time you figure out how long you've been at work all day long. Because working for members, that can you be at my house at 7? Because I need you to pick me up, and all the things that come with serving your member. And my mother really did joke, like, seriously, you make $1. And I was like, I don't want to make $1. I was at grad school. I need to make more than $1. Okay, so then it was, nonprofit, still not making a ton of money. But then I got married and I had kids. And honestly, daughter had health issues. And my husband was like, well, what are we going to do? I was like, we going to stay home. Because, I did that work with the governor's office of children, youth, and families. And 0 to 5 brain power, everything is great. So I need to stay home for 5 years. He was like, my mom and dad were like, you went to school? How many? You're like, what? And I was just like, trust me, everybody got this. But even in the process of being mom and all the things that I was doing, you know that you still have things in you. So kids homeschooling, co-op, they had too many pieces of paper. So it's like, oh, we can automate this. So yeah, automated the registration system. Because I was like, I'm not dealing with all these pieces of paper. I don't know how you people function like this. I can't register my children because it's too much paper. So long story short, regional leadership with speech and debate and all those things. And I was just like, okay, kids are getting older. What's mommy going to do? Because mommy is no longer able to go back to politics because like it's successful. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I could tell you all the things I didn't want to do, but did not tell you what I wanted to do. And started a VA business and quickly learned like, no, this wasn't it. This is not as fulfilling as I was thinking. And I'm like, well, strategically thinking, I really think we should do this. And, folks are like, but you're the VA. And I was like, No, that's what you call me. But honestly, no, that's not what I am. So I'm trying to do this. And then it really just, that constant friction, because you're really going against your natural inclinations, your natural talents. And it was just like, okay. So then I went the OBM route, and yeah, life is a lot easier because you're coming in with that partner, and business owners are like, oh, you said, okay, yes, ma'am, let me go ahead and do that. Okay. And they're like, yes, that's what she said, go do it. You know, there's no question asked. Whereas when you're in that other box, it's like, let me check with my coach. Let me check with this person. And now it's like, no, Kiva said, do it. We need to go do A, B, C, whatever she said, do. And I like that much better. It makes me much better.
sounds like the VOBM
Yeah.
dilemma. Totally,
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Kiva, because as you know, many of us listening today are, you know, people who will potentially hire a VA at some point, an OBM at some point, a podcast manager at some point. And so help me understand, like, if you had to just like quickly say what the difference is between like a VA and an OBM, how would you describe that?
The VA is the doer, the OBM is the managers of the doers. So if you had to take like your strategy, take your implementation, right in the middle, you would drop that OBM, because she's worked on the strategy with the business owner, and now she's overseeing overseeing the implementation. And that implementation, the doing, that's your VA.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That is good. And so, you know, I'm just curious, you know, I know I have a background in project management, administration, kind of a combination of those things. And I know how thankless of work that it is. Like Ashley-Dior, when you're talking about like, they don't even know, they don't even get it. So, you know, I get it. And so, you know, I know how that people don't always appreciate how critical the role of an administrator, an operations person is in their business. So I'm just curious, you know, why do you guys do what you do? You know, knowing that it's thankless, why do you do what you do? Like, what fulfillment do you get out of this type of work? And we can start from the top.
That would be me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because the screens can be different. For me, I do this work because I've been a business owner for a decade now. And I know that being a business owner seeps into your personal life. Everything is, especially if you're one person, two person, if you're not Target, you're not Fortune 500, you're trying to build up something from the scratch. Being a business owner seeps into your personal life, and it can suck the joy out of the things that you do. For me, having worked with different business owners for 5-6 years now, my why has been and always remain wanting to see other business owners thrive. That's always been my why. I want to be able to give back to the people I work for and work with time and peace, to be able to walk in your zone of genius. Because when you do that, you're able to integrate your work and your life together in a way that is seamless. So my why has always, and I think I came to that why specifically for this part of what I do about 5 years ago, is watching the people I work with wake up and say, I love that you're on my team, because now I can focus on what I love to do and do best, and you handle the rest. Whether when I was doing more VA work or that when I was doing OBM, is the idea that the ones I work with are thriving, and when they're thriving, I'm thriving, because I know what systems has done in my business, and what systems automation has done in my business. It's given me freedom to do all kinds of things. Structure. I'm a creative at heart. I'm a writer, storyteller. But I know the structure makes me much more productive and makes me much more creative. And being able to translate that into the women I work for, particularly Black women, because we do a lot. We have hustle. But the idea of being able to have the ones I work with thrive and birth new things and do things they always wanted to but can't do because they're one person team, that's my why.
That's good. That is good. What about you, Ashley-Dior?
Well, I know that amateurs have a goal and professionals have a process. So
Ooh, hold up.
I love that.
Wait a minute. Can we
Rewind.
say that again for people in the back, please?
amateurs have a goal, professionals have a process.
Oh,
So
we just snatching edges already. Okay, cool.
because it's very strategic that I was on the administrative side when I was working on Capitol Hill. So backstory for me, I was pre-med in undergrad and was about to go to medical school and was majoring in math and realized I don't want to take the MCAT to go to medical school. So from age 5 years old to 22, basically, I was known as Ashley-Dior, the pre-med person. So when you are identified as something for so long and you pivot, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So the fact that I even ended up on Capitol Hill, I'm originally from California, Sacramento, and didn't take a single government or political science class my entire college career is hilarious to me. But I quickly realized when I was interning years ago that I didn't want to do policy. Communications was, not my ministry, but the admin side, the analytical side, the math side, that's my favorite subject of like processes. And one thing I realized that I am strategically focused in chaos. When stuff is jumbled up, like I was the kid where, when you have a whole bunch of balloons and they're tangled up, and you're just like, okay, what is this? I was a kid who always volunteered to untangle the balloons. That was me. And I realized that I could see like the silver lining in mess. And so the thing about me working for small business owners, if you look at my LinkedIn, I don't say I'm an executive assistant, I do this. I call myself, I'm a curator of time. That's exactly what I do. Mm-hmm. Just like AdeOla said, I get your time back so that you can use your time how you want to use it and not have it how somebody else wants to use it. Mm-hmm. So that is why I do this, is because it's really important to me for women especially to be able to own our time and for us to delegate what we're doing with our time rather than the other way around.
And the church said,
Amen.
Amen. And I love what you guys are bringing out, both of you. There is a special anointing, gifting, mantle, talent for this type of work. I really believe that. And you guys working in this gifting are transferring that that power to the people that you're working with, and we need it. I need it. So thank you for that. Kiva, tell us what's your why? What brought you into this work?
Yeah, I mean, and they both have touched on so much of it. When I formed my business, the 516 Collaborative, I really struggled. I was like, I could just go with my name, and people are like, oh, you have a great name. I'm like, nah, I don't want that. And it really is from Ephesians 5:16, which is about making the most of our time, and before this, I ran a jewelry business on Etsy. Time is important, and being like AdeOla said, being a creative sometimes be like, oh, whatever. No, you need structure. You still like all of that structure and systems helps you free up that time that clears the brain space that allows for that creativity to flow. And that's the thing that I was like, when I think about those things, I think about my spiritual gifts, admin, help, faith. Because I'm that optimistic cheerleader. No, it's not complicated. We got this. Let's do this. But we need to do it this way. Okay. So it's that combination of, I'm going to throw in the analytics. I'm throwing in the data. I'm throwing in that curiosity, problem solving, because it's like, look, we have time, but we don't need to waste it. And that's sometimes what business owners are doing. It's like, oh, I can't let this go. Really? You can't. So why are you at your $300 an hour rate still piddling around doing the thing that's really a $20 an hour job? Because you don't want to let it go. Do the math and see how much time you're going to give yourself. And time is what? Time is money. So when I do this, it's like, it's like this, sit there, you think about those things and you're like, that's fulfilling to me, because I am solving problems. Like, I am so relating to what Ashley-Dior said. It was like, oh, you have tangled balloons, tangled strings, pickup sticks, you call it whatever you like, but you see all that stuff, you're like, oh, now this is good. Everybody else is running the other way. And you're like, no, this is fixable. I got this. Give me a moment, please. And you're like, everybody else can step back and they're watching in awe because it's like, yeah, no, this is my area. This is my zone of genius. You got what looks like just a mess all over the place. I'm looking through the math. We're going to break that down into bite-sized pieces, and it's going to make sense. And we're going to move forward with a plan instead of whatever it was we used to get here, because that wasn't a plan. So that's what I love about all of this. To me, it's like every single day, you don't really know what you're getting with that. Tom Hanks is like, life's like a box of chocolates, you know, but it's like all those different problems that could come up, and the things that even once you planned out the launch, and it's like, oh crap, what just happened? You know, oh, we got to fix it. And it's about that fixing. That's what I love, the fixing.
And if I can just say something in addition to thinking about time, because I work, and I probably you both do, work with a lot of visionaries that have a lot of ideas. And I always say a lot of ideas takes away all your time. A lot of ideas takes away all your time, because I work with people that have all the ideas and no execution plan, no execution skills. And it's the idea that you have all this plan, it's shiny, it's beautiful, but do you have the time, the capacity, and the budget to execute the ideas you have? What can we do now? It all comes back to time, capacity, and at the end of the day, money. What do you have the time, capacity, and budget to do? It's a time thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And to piggyback on that, a lot of times that shiny object, they have those visions, and like literally for one client, I got a ClickUp board that's just her ideas, because every idea is not a project. Okay, every idea does not need to be implemented. It's an idea until, like, AdeOla, we got money for that idea. Does that idea actually fit where we said we are going? Okay, because if it don't fit, and if it's going to take us this way or that way, guess what? We're not doing that. And because it does not fit, and whether you got the money to do it, if it doesn't fit, it don't matter. So yes, visionaries have lots of ideas.
And she just described the role, the difference between an OBM and the VA, because the OBM would tell you, excuse me, ma'am, that's not part of our strategy, it's not part of our plan. Maybe in 3 months we can talk about it, but not right now, because you don't have the time, the money, or the capacity for it. Unless you want to hire 10 more people, then maybe we can take it.
And I love that 10. I'm gonna give you that big number, because you like, can I get by with 2? No, you're gonna need 10.
Yes. No. Y'all, this is so.
What Kiva said about I wanted to add what Kiva said about the ideas, and do you have the man or woman power to even execute those ideas? So I always say that you need to hire people that could do jobs that you already know how to do, but don't have the time. Not to do jobs that you don't know how to do. That's your job, to figure out the creativity. Stop hiring people to do things that you don't know how to do, and then say they leave and they take your intellectual property. You don't even know what to do now. So the stuff that's mundane, small, doesn't make sense, not automated, hire somebody for that, because it's a waste of your time to keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is insanity.
And going off of that, hire people before you need them. Like, don't hire people when you're already like stretched out and dying. Hire people, and you can anticipate your need. Hire someone before you need the person, because if you hire them when you need them, they're just gonna throw them in the fire, and then everyone gets like frustrated. You can't manage because it's busy. They can't. Hire people before you need them. Give yourself a month before you need someone to hire someone. Anyways,
how do you know why you're hiring them? Because a lot of times people have hired VAs, they've hired a social media man, then you're upset, you salty. Well, they didn't do what I was thinking they were going to do. Did you know what you wanted them to do? Did you take the time to figure out, and I always go back to the clockwork example, make a list of what you're doing in your business. What are you doing that can be trashed? Because there are some things that can be trashed. What can be transferred? What can be trimmed? Okay, that transfer pile, like Ashley said, get it out of there. Stop being in there at all, and get that stuff hired out. But know what those things are, and then set your person up for success.
Yes.
Hire somebody, and then you don't give them their tool, don't have nothing, and you don't have to have SOPs. Use a Loom video, record yourself doing it, give it to them to type it up, and see if the process makes sense. Okay, because you're
such an OBM. I love it.
But I mean,
such an OBM.
You're sitting there like doing those same things, those rinse, lather, repeat tasks. Stop it, okay? If this is the same way that you do X all the time, record yourself one time doing it, and then that VA, they can type it up. They can implement it and say, you know what, that actually makes sense. Or better yet, this is a better way to do it. What do you think about this? Because you don't know everything. Yeah. And just because you've been doing it X, don't mean that's the best way, the fastest way, the smartest way, any of the ways, you know? But if you don't know why you're hiring and for what you're hiring, you're going to put a job description.
Sorry, 1 second.
Can I go? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So you're going to put a job description out there for the wrong set of tools, the wrong set of skills, and then you're going to be upset because the person cannot do and implement, execute what you had anticipated. But you hired half the time the wrong person because you went about it without a real plan, knowing what you needed them to do and how they could best support you. Because that's what help is. That's there to support you, lift you up. Okay. If you guys to be going after the help, seeing what the help been done and all that, that's wasted money.
So y'all done went in already. This is like question 3, and y'all just I am here for it. But you guys, some of the things that you guys are really bringing up for me are, you know, we're all talking about we're trying to be a CEO, but what does that really mean? It means that you're going to have to back off of some of the things that you're used to doing and you've owned, and yeah, maybe you're good at it. Maybe you do it well, but you need to start to relinquish a lot of that in order to actually empower people to help you and to empower ultimately your business to grow and you to work in your primary zone of genius. Thank you so much, ladies. And we're going to continue to kind of unravel this a little bit, I think, because I want to ask you and get your opinion. You guys have kind of already touched on this, I think, but I'd love to hear more directly from each of you. What role do systems and organization play in helping us to see the type of profit and growth that we are all trying to make, we're all trying to create in our businesses? And actually, I'll actually switch between starting from back and forth or who I'm starting with. So actually, I'll start with Ashley-Dior. Could you answer what role do systems and organization play in helping us see the type of profit and growth that we're trying to see in our businesses?
Okay, so if you have a business and you have an email that's listed on your website and customers email you and customers never hear back from you, what is that? Money down the drain, because that 1, 2, 3, 10 customers who try to email you or something, you get a reputation of not being responsive. You get a reputation of being unprofessional when you could have just hired somebody for $15, $20, whatever dollars an hour to answer your emails. That is one of the biggest things that small business owners think, that they don't have the money to hire someone even part-time to do the kind of admin stuff. When I'm like, no, you can afford not to hire that person, because that's the reason why you have not grown, is because you don't have somebody in the place that can do those type of things. That's the biggest thing for me that you can kind of implement now. Even if it means that you need to take less clients that are time suckers out of you because you haven't priced right, so they take more of your time and you're priced wrong, and try and rework your system. You should always be trying to rework your systems. Nothing is set in stone. Sometimes, like Kiva said, you may find something that's more efficient. Just because you did it 10 years doesn't mean you do it 10 more. So we need to be able to be innovative and evolve. And so that's why there's a big part with the three of us trying to implement that. You have to pay attention to the operations and system side of things. It is imperative for your business, imperative. There's a reason why when you have big corporations, the CEO, and who's the right-hand person? The COO, the Chief Operating Officer. It's for a reason. So that's my take on that.
Just because you did it 10 years doesn't mean you need to do it 10 more.
Right. And that goes for relationships too, but we're not gonna talk about
That's gonna be Tribe After Dark. We're gonna table that conversation. Woo! AdeOla, I know you got some.
Well, that's at the beginning, trying to get people to be free.
I cannot.
Period.
Yeah. Anyways. A few things that I know and believe that having systems and process and workflow in your business does for you. It helps you simplify. because by creating systems, you start to see the loopholes, you start to see what works and what doesn't work. It's one thing to have everything in your head and you're just doing it as you go. But when you bring things to paper, you can create a system, help simplify, and help streamline how you operate. And if things are simplified, you know what you're doing any given day. We know business is cray-cray, but with systems, you're able to really manage what you do every day, what you do every week. And even if things fall on the path that needs to be done, you have a system that you can go back to when the craziness goes away. It helps you delegate. It's impossible to hire someone and have them take ownership of your business or what they're supposed to do in your business without systems and processes, because you're just thrown into the fire. And now you're not only not giving them what to do, now you're managing them. And managing is a lot of work. So systems help you delegate in a way that you're still the CEO, but the person you're hiring is able to do things without having to come to you every single day for everything. So simplify, streamline, delegate. It also helps you figure out what metrics you need to be measuring in your business. When you have systems, you're able to know what are things I'm doing that brings in money, speaking about profit, and how can I have a metric for measuring that so I can keep doing that and knowing how to make it better. So systems for me is one of the underlying people. Operations is one of underlining thing every business owner should have. Whether you're a one-person business, a new person in business, 10 years in business, you need systems and process to simplify, streamline, delegate, grow, and know your metrics so you can grow. And in addition, I would say systems helps you have a personal life. I'm all about work-life integration. And I work with few clients and helping them not just create systems in their business, but also in their personal life that allows them to merge each in a way that you have a balance. So what is your routine? Like, I believe every business owner should have a routine that manages how they run their day, because at the end of the day, how you run your day determines how you're able to produce in your business. So for me, systems is not everything, but it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing.
At the end of the day, how you run your business determines how you run your personal life.
It is.
And vice versa.
That is facts. That is facts. They all meld together. I am a testament to that for a fact. And in your business, I thank God for giving us business as a tool, because I believe as we continue to follow the process that it takes to actually create a sound business, we inevitably learn the process of building those systems and structures and routines that we can now utilize in our life. So I feel like God uses business to, it's a playground for us. It's a curriculum to help us learn these other areas in life that we really need to be successful in the other areas. So I'm so glad you brought that up, AdeOla. Wow, Summer said, my therapist just said that to me today. See?
And I think back to, even if you're Rose, I'm a do as I go person. Do as you go, but start to create system as you go. Because sometimes you just have to jump in, but as you jump in, as you do as you go, create the system and process. Video, like we can all be do as you go, but you cannot grow if you just do as you go all the time. There's no growth in that.
Period.
Yeah, because you can't measure anything. So how you know if it's going to work?
How you know it's
working? You're just doing stuff. You're like, oh, I finally got to this goal, but it took you 5 years.
Yeah.
Like what? How was that progress? I mean, it's progress in a way, but it's like you could have done this in 30 days.
Yeah,
and
metrics.
Had right for one.
Kiva, what do you have to add to this question?
I am loving, like, the three of us, like, we just need to go hang out. I think Ashley-Dior is close to me, I'm thinking, so I'm like, wait a minute now, COVID needs to go away, because we're just going to get everybody right and tight, okay? That's just crazy at this point. But, yeah, systems play such a huge role, because, I mean, as AdeOla said, it's about simplifying, okay? Those things that people are doing that don't need to keep being done, by you or something like that, but you can't really bring on help if you don't have something laid out, and then they go set it up differently, and then you haven't bothered, and then they leave, and you don't know where none of your stuff is, don't know your password, you can't access nothing, don't know the code. The person, look, their email don't work no more, you can't find them, like, I don't know nothing. But it's like even simple things, okay? Do you have a spreadsheet of all your website URLs? It's a tiny thing that we don't think about, but y'all know y'all done created 50 different Bitly links and don't know near one of them and don't know where to go. Okay? Having a sheet that just simply says, this Bitly link links to this site. You know, we talk about metrics. If you have a website, you need Google Analytics on it. I don't care if you only got one landing page up there, whatever it is, has my name is site under construction. Okay? It still needs to have Google Analytics on there. And don't just put Google on there and be like, I did it, check mark. No, put the filter on there that rules out your IP address, so we stop looking at the 50 times you visited your own website thinking you didn't have some progress. Okay. You ain't
giving
had
y'all
no
some
visitors.
major keys,
That was
y'all.
you, okay? So put the filter on there and block out your own IP address so we don't count the visits that you've made. But even a Facebook pixel, you may not ever run an ad. It doesn't matter. It's free. It's free. And one day you might actually say, I think I might want to add. Okay, guess what? You now have data upon data upon data, because Mark knows everything, okay? Everything. So you have all that data now that you can utilize, okay, to find out what are your people looking for. Maybe you have something to sell. Maybe you're trying to grow your email list. Whatever those things are, you want to have those measurable processes and systems in place. You know, use Zaps, like my email list. I have a checkbox on my discovery call form that says you will be added to my email list and you understand that you can unsubscribe at any time. That's in Dubsado. Zap sends it to MailChimp. I ain't got nothing to do with it. But guess what? Every time anybody books a tea, a virtual tea, a discovery call, they're automatically added to my mailing list. All right. And then that's growing. And so, but that's a system that I have in place. And of course, the nurture sequence, which once again, I didn't set it and I'm not going to forget it. I do go back and tweak it. But that's the key thing also, is don't set it and forget it. Everything. Put it in your project management tool, Asana, Trello. Tell Alexa to remind you once a quarter, review my systems, okay? Simple as that. Make yourself a checklist of what you need to go back through and check and make sure, that it's working, because that does break and we don't even know half the time. But make sure that it's working, that it's doing what it's supposed to do, you know, and with that even goes your personal, like AdeOla was saying, you know, profit first. Know where your money is. Know where your money is going, and let your money actually be like your money, okay? Not plowing everything back into your business, because that's not a system that's sustainable, okay? There's some entrepreneurs that are out there, they're successful despite themselves, okay? But even they will reach a plateau where there's not going to be that growth if they don't change some of their processes and systems. You know, but understanding your money, having a system for that. Every first of the month, do your books. Okay, what was it? Oprah, tell Tony Braxton, girl, sign your own checks. All right, don't just go out there thinking you hire a bookkeeper and I got a bookkeeper. I don't need to worry about my money. You ain't gonna have no money. Okay, you won't have no money and you're gonna be sitting there wondering where the bookkeeper went. Every first of the month, do your books. Do your books. That's part of a system. It's not a system that's going to sit there in your business internally in the sense of someone else that you can have do. That's a system you need to put in place for yourself. This is how much I spent this month. This is how much came in this month. I need to increase my prices because my profit margin sucks and I ain't making no money. Okay, so you put that 5% in profit. Don't touch it. Okay, let that sit there. If your business is not operating outside of what's set aside for operating, you got to check yourself and say, do I need all these things? Am I using these things? Are these things bringing me money? That goes back to that Google Analytics. We on every social media platform. How many people from those platforms visit your actual site? How many of us know? Okay, so if we spending all the time in the world on Instagram, everybody said I gotta be on Instagram, but all your followers and people coming to your website are coming because of a blog post you wrote 2 years ago. Then why are you all the time on Instagram? Instagram ain't sent nobody your way in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and you're like, but I gotta be on Instagram every single day and I'm in the DMs, and you didn't waste the time, which has led to you wasting money. So if your people coming from LinkedIn, then you better go on LinkedIn and be happy camper. Hey LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. They coming from Facebook, be on Facebook. Now, I'm not saying you can't use things, use whatever, another tool that will zap something to those other platforms so you're there, but that's not where you need to physically be. And that is also part of being in a system. As AdeOla said, plan out your day, because that is so key. And that right there is a system, whether you time block, focus to do app, Pomodoro method, you choose any of them, have a plan for your time. Because otherwise, we'd be Alice in Wonderland down the black hole that is the internet, and there ain't nothing get done, and ain't no money got made.
Period.
Yeah.
Woo! So Kiva, okay, wait. Now y'all done, okay. You have given us so many gems. Y'all, I hope you guys are taking notes. Let us know in the chat too. I see this is good. This is a word. Have a plan for your time. So y'all are getting this. I hope y'all are taking notes. But you've given us so much tea, systems tea already, just for free. Like all of that was for free, y'all. So I mean, what? So I want to step back, because I know many of us are sort of in a place where maybe we are just, getting started and figuring out, okay, I know I need to quit playing and get serious about this organization piece. So, I want to ask you ladies, and AdeOla, I'm gonna go to you first, because I know you've been in this OBM game for some years, and even though you've niched down to podcast management, I know you've got a lot of wisdom for us to glean just in general in this space. So in your opinion, what's the best place to start when trying to organize our back end? From whether it's like our mindset is where we need to start, or like some tangible action steps, like I am at ground zero, step one, what do we do? Where do we start? In order to really avoid overwhelm and frustration that you guys are kind of talking about can come if we don't get serious about this?
I would say we're all going to be working on mindset. So for me, it's whether I have good enough systems, they can be better, but I'm working on my mindset. So in terms of practical tools, I always say the first two things that I tell the clients I work with, whether they're just starting out, or three things actually. They're just starting out or they've been in business for a while. These are three things I recommend when I think about working with a client or coaching a client through integrating work life or creating system, is a project management tool, a communication tool, and a calendar scheduler. Those three things are the basic starting point tools that every business owner should have. You should have a project management tool that you use to plan your to-dos. And you can have it and still write on pen and paper what you have to do for the day. But a PM tool, whether it's Asana, Trello, ClickUp, Teamwork, Basecamp, there's a lot out there. I would say that's the first thing you need to have. Choose one and start to use it. The second thing would be a communication tool. If you're still starting out small, maybe you could use email and let that be how. Well, even in your email, if it's a tool for communication, have your inbox not have 20,000 unread messages and no one can figure out who's coming and who's going. Communication tool, whether you're using Slack or you company uses WhatsApp. I'm not sure why you would use WhatsApp, but The third thing would be is for me, I'm big on routines and having a calendar schedule in a way that you plan how you operate your week. Are you taking calls? Are you taking discovery calls every day? Are you taking discovery calls twice a week? Are you having team calls once a week? Are you having team calls every other week? But really having those three things be where you start to plan your system. And it's not just planning systems for your business, it's planning systems for you as a CEO, because those things help you go from founder and business owner to the role of a CEO, because you can bring people in to see that you have a system and they can help you, they can grow with you. So you're going from founder to CEO. Communication tool, project management tool, calendar scheduler.
That is perfect. Thank you. And thank you for giving us the examples of each of those things, like specific examples in market right now. I appreciate that. And just to a point of clarification, the calendar scheduler, I know you mentioned, can you give us a couple of examples of like your preferred calendar scheduler?
I use Calendly, but it's Acuity. So those are the two, and there's one scheduler. The two most popular ones are Acuity and Calendly. I don't know if you got Kiva, or actually having
Yeah,
other
I mean,
ones.
if you add into that like an onboarding, some sort of modified CRM is what I sometimes call Dubsado. I
Yeah.
personally use the scheduler in there, and they have now integrated it with Zoom, because that was something some people are like, well, Calendly and this, that. But if I'm paying for Dubsado, which I do, as much stuff as they're giving me, I'm using what I'm paying for.
Yeah.
And I haven't had issues with the scheduler. So I would also, if you're going to add in a fourth option, or if you already are comfortable with the other ones, definitely think of something like a Dubsado, Honeybook, 17 Hats, something like that. So you're having your leads coming in, especially for those of us that are service-based providers. Those leads coming in, you need to be able to have some record of who you spoke to, what the devil y'all spoke about. Because let's be honest, some people ain't ready today. They might be ready 6 months from now. And when they come back to you, you give yourself a leg up because you got notes and you went in your system and said, oh, so yeah, so last time we talked, I see here you were just getting started. How are things been going for the last 6 months? And they're like, oh, dang, she remembered me. You ain't remembered nothing. 5 minutes before that call, you looked it up. Okay. But you look like you was so on top of your game. And it's like, oh, wow, she remembered what I was doing. But you also showed that you got an attention to detail and you care about them and their growth. And that's going to separate you from some other service provider who was like, we talked before? Really, when?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you even are. And be like, I don't want to talk to you either, and I ain't giving you my money. So if you had to add in a fourth one, I would say something like Dubsado or some sort of CRM tool. And there's a lot of them out there. I say Dubsado because it's one of the easiest to use. It's easy to set up. Their support is good. But I mean, Honeybook, 17 Hats, you want a way to get contracts to your clients so they can sign them, and you want to get paid. Okay? That's what you're looking to do. And you want that process to be as seamless as possible, because nobody wants to, as Ashley said in the beginning, you get an email and you don't respond. We're not trying to have that, because that's money. And that's money that just flew away because you had nothing in place. So.
Actually, I had 4. That was number 4.
Oh, perfect.
Honestly, if you don't have a CRM tool, please get one.
Yeah.
And you can automate with it. You don't have to be in it all day doing things. You can automate. I use Honeybook.
Yeah.
I use Honeybook. So
you use Honeybook? Okay, cool.
I use Honeybook.
And you put those automations in place. So you got the leads coming in. They're getting booked in your calendar. That's not something you're manually doing. You got off the call. They decided they're going to work with you. Boom, contract sent. Boom, workflows in place. They got invoice. You got paid. Money getting transferred. Onboarding documents sent. How I work documents sent. You sitting there at the nail salon. Well, pre-COVID, you might have been at the nail salon. Okay? And you're like, all these things, and you're just like, seeing the little notifications. Oh, look at that. You know what? I'll take a design today. Okay, because you didn't had a little bit more money added into your account, but you weren't sitting there at the computer chained to your desk like, oh my God, let me hurry up and send this to them. No, we're not doing that.
Yes. This is good. Ooh, this is so good. I literally, we're like right at the hour mark. I have 2 more questions I want to ask you ladies, and then we're going to get into our Q&A session, because I've already seen some questions coming into the chat. If you, everybody who's listening, if you have questions, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat now, because I'm just going to go through there to answer those. So feel free to start dropping those in. So real quick, again, two more questions, and then we're going to go right into this, because this is just so good. Ashley-Dior, I wanted to hear from you, just with your background in helping executives become more productive. I'm curious of what are some of the common, maybe even a little nuanced, I know we just had conversations, but what are some common mistakes that you see people making that are really zapping their productivity on a daily basis? And how do we avoid them?
I think it has to do with having all these ideas and don't know why they're connected or could be connected in the first place. I mean, I'm a Gemini, so I feel like I could do everything. I feel like I have, 2 brains, whatever, and I'm very analytical, but at the same time, and I feel like I'm extremely innovative when it comes to ideas, creations, and all that. Like, quiet as it's kept, I'm telling you guys, don't tell anybody else. But back in the day, my dream job was to be a jingle writer because I would come up with slogans at the drop of a dime. So if anybody used to watch the Jamie Foxx show, that was my dream job. So
noted.
Yeah, as like a side thing, not for real, but I was like, that'd be cool if I had another life. But at the same time, I see people getting overwhelmed by not having simple systems in place in the first place. And then the second biggest thing, with which Kiva mentioned, I'm glad she talked about the CRM, people don't know their customers. So you have all these people that are coming, whether you've had phone calls, emails exchange, whatever the case may be, and you're not collecting that data. I don't understand, if you don't have nothing else other than your email, have a CRM. You need to know who you're contacting, who's contacting you, what are the follow-ups, if nothing else. You can even get away with not having a website, a phone number, whatever. If you got an email and a CRM, I'm telling you, you can thrive. It'll be some hard work, but you can thrive. It's the fact that we don't even use the people, the currency that we currently have. If you have 10 customers who have paid something for you and you don't do some type of audit of who are these 10 customers, where do they come from? Quiet as it's kept, the 2 P's I think that people should focus on when it comes to marketing your stuff is podcast and Pinterest. Pinterest brings the most to your website than social media, than Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then combined, 78% of your stuff to your website is from Pinterest. And how many people have Pinterest pages? Okay, so it's like you repurpose the blogs you do on your website, put it on Pinterest, watch your traffic flourish. So it's different things like that. Like we have to, like Kiva and AdeOla said, we have to focus on the things that bring us money. Stop focusing on the things that we think we need to do. I'm going to go on another tangent here. Drown out the noise of other people. Sometimes people are successful because they paid to be there, because of someone they knew, and because someone helped them and they're taking the credit for it. Drown out the noise, because when they're faced to have, say, a bigger project, a bigger client, in case may be, and they crash and burn, they don't know what to do because they don't know how to actually do it. It's the people under them who have helped them who actually did the work. Which is why it goes back to my original statement, hire for people that you can do jobs that you know how to do. Don't hire people to do jobs you don't know how to do. That is counterintuitive. Because like I said, you're giving away your intellectual property. You hire someone who can do this whole tech stuff, which is fine, you need something like that. But hey, ask questions. Hey, John, what you doing? Hey, Sally, how you do that here? Because guess what? Something were to happen, they get sick, God forbid they pass away. What are you doing? What happens? You're at a standstill. So we have to be strategic and we have to be smart about things. And one thing about me that I'm very focused on is I do things at my own pace. I have a goal to be a one-person, $1 million business. That is my goal. And as of 2018, there are 41,666 of them in the United States. So when those stats come in 2022 or whatever, guess who's going to be on there? Me. Hey. Now, if I'm close to it, if I don't reach it, I don't care. But guess what? I have a goal. But also, what goes with my goal? What I said before, amateurs have a goal, professionals have a plan. I got a plan to get there. You have to quantify everything. What does it take going to get there? They may seem like big, steps for you, but if you bite them down to little small pieces, okay, get to going. And if you even get half of that by the time, that's better than a lot of people. Do you know that the average one person's business makes $78,000? Yeah. And we're not even gonna talk about Black women. So we gotta get it together, y'all.
That's a word. I'm sorry. No, y'all go ahead.
No, but that is so true. If you have those systems and processes, no one is saying, look, yeah, I'll make my money because people hire me. But guess what? I am totally okay with what Ashley said, because that is possible. People are doing it on a regular basis, but they have all their pieces in place. Get the pieces in place. You know, I'm sorry, what's the question? I could answer the question. Was I supposed to answer the question? You want me to not cut back in?
We are, so I think,
yeah.
Flo,
My
go ahead
question
and
was a
flow,
little
and I think
different,
we're going to be
but
done. Yeah.
So, all right. So I did want to add one other tool to what AdeOla said, because personally, I'm loving ClickUp right now. It's like a Trello and Asana. I had a love child who's on steroids, okay? So ClickUp is like my bestest friend, and it does so much amazingness. But if I had to share something, it would be define your core values. Because if you don't have core values for business, you won't have boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, you don't have freedom. Okay? Because when you have core values, I only work 9 to 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay? I don't do client work on Thursday. It's in my how I work document. When you working with me, you gonna get that before you pay me. You gonna be like, she said she ain't taking my calls on Thursday. Nope. Because that's the day I'm doing other stuff. But if you don't have that as a goal in business and then set it as a boundary, then guess what? You're gonna have the craziness. The clients calling all the time, expecting you to do, like, feed with the 5,000 out of fish and some loaves of bread, because, well, you do everything else. Because then when you try to put that boundary in place later, the horse and left the barn, ain't coming back in. Clients expecting you to continue working miracles. That's not how this works. Okay, so set your core values, what you're going to deal with, what you're not going to deal with. And then that will help you make better decisions about who you work with, because then you don't pick Karen. Okay, because Karen and you not going to get along, and you're just like, I'm not going to work with Karen. But you don't know that if you don't have core values and you don't have boundaries. And that also stops you from taking on all those little shiny objects, because it's like, we don't have time for that, because that doesn't fit the plan. What else was there? You got to know, we talked about knowing when and what to let go, but also stop trying to do so much. Like Ashley said, Jesus was not hustling and grinding. Okay. There is value in rest. There's value in rest. Okay. All this, like, I love Damon John just like the next person, but dude, seriously, I need to sleep. All right, I need to sleep. I need my brain to rest, and those things have to happen. There's value in rest. Don't neglect that. Okay, you step away from something, you'd be surprised at the level of clarity. Whether it's a walk, a trip to the beach, the mountains, whatever, and all of a sudden, what seemed to have been like this unsurmountable problem and object is now totally crystal clear to you. There's value in rest. And just going back to metrics, because I love my numbers, they don't lie.
Yep.
Okay. A blog post lasts the longest on the internet, followed by what? Pinterest. Ashley ain't telling y'all the truth. Ain't telling a lie. She is not telling a lie. She is telling you the truth. Y'all spending time on Instagram, you don't even see your friends' posts. You don't even see your own daggone posts. You gotta go to your profile to find your own post, because you're like, did I post something? I don't even know. Okay, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you lost in the sauce so quickly. Okay, a blog post, 18 months, 2 years, still making you traction. Pinterest, 6 months, 8 months, still making you traction. I get over 1 million viewers a month on Pinterest. Not because I'm some Pinterest wizard, but when I had my Etsy shop, I busted my butt on Pinterest. And because of all that traction still, now that I've been pivoted, guess what? I still got the folks, because I know how Pinterest works. And you need to learn how Pinterest works, because that is something that will keep people coming to your site, which ties into what? That Google Analytics, and shows you where that traffic is coming from and whether or not that's the place you need to be spending your time, which is going to equate to your money.
Metrics, guys, metrics.
The numbers don't lie.
Oh my gosh, y'all. So
can we talk about focusing on working with people we want to work with instead of working with people because we have to? Because
yes, please.
there's a whole work right there.
Talk about it.
So I've set myself up, and I'm going to be truly transparent here, and I know this comes from a level of privilege. I am debt free. So because of that, I worked my butt off to make sure that I can create the life I want to live. And even if that's at a specific cost, quote unquote, like money cost, where I'm turning down things because I believe that the person I could potentially work with is not right for my spirit. Could it give me 20, 30, 40K? Great. But if I know just basically by how they respond via email that they're crazy, not doing it. My piece is too important for me. And guess what? When, and Marlena knows this, when I first joined, 2018, I had an Eat, Pray, Love year. I just was like, you know what? I was on the hill. I needed to figure out who I was as a person and recalibrate. And clearly I didn't really work that much, not really at all, and made virtually nothing. But the year after that, 2019, I made the most money I've ever made in my life. It's because of when you're intentional and you listen and you sleep, you're able to have vision, you're able to have clarity, and you're able to listen to what God has been trying to tell you for so long. Sometimes, and I'm gonna go back to this time thing, sometimes people are in your life for a season, including friendships. You need to cut off things, people, places, everything else that is not servicing you. Because, like AdeOla mentioned, your business and your personal life intertwine. When you're an entrepreneur, there is no work-life balance. You need work-life harmony. There's no balance. So you have to be able to be intentional with what you have to do. And my sole focus in life is, one, I feel like I'm a master connector at my core, but it's to be able to be in certain spaces that traditionally Black women are not in, so that I can tell all my homegirls and everybody else, hey, come on up with me. Like, I come with a whole tribe of people. So I lead with that. And when you do the inner work on yourself and you have confidence in yourself and trust in yourself that what you're doing is fine, and fail forward. Who says failure is bad? Failure is lessons. That's data. So keep going. You can't fail if you don't try.
Yep, what she said.
What she said. Y'all, this has been unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I want to, just to honor what we said we would do and open the floor to some questions. I want to open the floor just for a few questions before we just sort of have you guys wrap us up with, how we can work with you and all of that. So we're going to just take, while you guys are in this flow, I just want to take a couple questions from the audience. And I'm going to go back through here to one that I think I saw from Lauren. Oh no, from Roz first, I think. So Roz said, as a creative, I find that I'm more of a do as I go, then discover mistakes. What's a great way to identify when you need to pause and create a system before you go? Does that make sense? And Roz, if you could say it better, feel free to jump on and just ask your question.
Yeah, I will just say quickly, I believe you guys answered that question during the discussion. AdeOla actually specifically asked it, and then AdeOla and Kiva both jumped in on that. So thank you, ladies, so much for that.
Perfect. Awesome. One question down. Okay. Yes, this is so good. All right. Lauren. This is from Lauren. She said, something I've been thinking about when it comes to metrics is what metrics might there be for measuring things other than profit? Really good question. In a society that increasingly needs to change, and understanding the role businesses can have in that, what metrics do you think can be developed to track community development, health, things like that?
Well, there's a lot of, just putting my old nonprofit hat on, there are definitely community-based metrics that already exist in terms of things that can be tracked, but in terms of businesses and social justice and social responsibility issues, tracking where the money is going. What if your business is making donations, where are those donations going? If businesses using tracking keywords, okay? If your business is involved in that, or a business, for example, I recently did a blog post about giving back as a business. And people have come to that blog post based on corporate responsibility, social responsibility. So tracking keywords, those are also metrics to find out how people are finding you, what they're finding when they come to you, how long they're staying there once they get there. And then there's the aspect of, in community spaces, just the wellness aspect, health aspect, education. So I think there's some that are already existing that I would really encourage to research those, because those can all still be tracked, and then it's modifying what's out there to fit that particular business if their focus is social justice, social responsibility. And unless there's some more to that, if she could share.
Yeah, Lauren, feel free to jump on and share if that covers it.
Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't quite ready to be on video, but thank you guys for that. That was very helpful answers. Yeah, I'm in the interior design industry, and so I guess I'm looking at it from, environmental and spatial justice, and there are groups that are kind of working on holding institutions and different spaces accountable. So I'm trying to see how I integrate some of those principles and metrics into my business. But I definitely, I hadn't thought of any of those things you just shared. So thank you for sharing that.
But also think about zero waste. Yeah, like zero waste is another one, because if you're able to, in your designs, to not, what do you do with leftover stuff? Do you donate it to maybe like I know in Baltimore, we have an organization that takes like in old craft supplies and things like that then are sold at a discounted for community. So like, what do you do with that? Sharing that part of your business as well. Like, we are a zero waste company. When we have overage, this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. Those are things that people will be like, oh my gosh, that's so environmentally sustainable. She's not just, tossing the fabrics wherever. When I sold jewelry, like Marlene is like, oh, I like these earrings. These are leather scraps that I painted, but I get them from a company, or I used to get them from a company who she got them from the cutting floors in New York. So all that just, they didn't need all of that, and she would get it, and then she sells those in a bundle pack. You don't know what you get, but that's something that is sustainable, because then the leather didn't just go and get trashed. So those are things that people do want to see, and sometimes we don't share that part of our business. It's like, oh, the design. People want to know what happens after the fact too. So don't be afraid to share that element of your business as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's good. Really good. So Summer, I see your corrected question, so I'll ask that one. Summer says, what are some of your favorite books that have helped you in your business? It may not be a business book.
Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. That is my Bible. Never Eat Alone, I'll put in the chat, by Keith Ferrazzi. It is, hold on, I'll put it, hold on.
And what's the premise of that?
Spell's name. So I'm really interested in people who are really connected that nobody knows. That is who I feel like I'm in a baby size, aspire to be. So I am the Scottie Pippen and somebody's Jordan. I am the person who is quote unquote not in the limelight. I'm the best assist, but I know where the bodies are buried. That is who I am. And Never Eat Alone is this whole premise about how we are all connected, we all have relationships, and we don't utilize those relationships. One thing I got from him, I think it came out in like 2011, 2010, it's been a minute, right? But it's still, I'm looking at it right now, it's this orange book, and he does that for a reason, a bright orange book. The way he built his network, and he used to be the CMO of like a hotel industry at like 28, the youngest in the entire country, to be a chief marketing officer, all these different accolades. So he runs his own firm now. He talks about how he goes through weekly first 10 people that are in his phone, and then he would do cue cards, but now of course through text, and he would send messages asking how people are. He did that and still does that 25 years later. So his network is invaluable. And I always say the net worth is how big your network is. That's literally how you're going to get clients. That's literally how you're going to get your ideal avatar, who you want to work with. And we severely undervalue our network, severely. So I just think that I'm a very big database person. I make I track just about everything in my life. I have on Airtable, I keep track of everything. I use Asana for like my tasks and stuff, but Airtable is kind of like my big picture. Here's everything in one place thing. I keep track of a list of, as best as I can, all of my friends, all of who I've met, all the business cards I've ever gotten, and I categorize people of what their industry is, where they live, what they do, special notes. Hey, they just got a new website. Hey, they got a promotion. Hey, they got this. Because you never know when someone says, hey, Marlena, I need somebody who's a seamstress. Let me look into it. Guess what? So-and-so just happens to know how to sew. And then you become valuable to that person. And then they start to trust you. And then they might ask, so what is it that you do? Potential client right there. So you just have to build relationships. I hate the word networking, but I call it building relationships. But that Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, I swear to you, hands down, is the best book I've ever read.
Oh gosh, I feel like I thought I was the one that tracked everything. I don't do it to that extent, but I do track. And from something that you said that stood out to me is the idea of keeping people in mind before they keep you in mind. So something that I do is like, I have in my to-do list, like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I check in on 2 people, just checking on 2 people. I have a list and I just keep rotating. It's not because I want anything from them, but I know that it's part of my life system to build that into my life. I'm checking in on people. But you can build systems into your personal life. It doesn't have to just be your business, but that's a really great thing that he does. 25 years. I'm still 2 years into it. And I'm like, oof.
You know what having systems does for even tracking, and this may be, OCD for some people, but I'm trying to eliminate decision fatigue. I'm not trying to have all these different things and trying to figure out, that is my goal in life. Well, I'm a curator of time, so I need my time to be efficient. So much so that in my database, I got stuff for book recommendations. We have a never-ending list of books we want to read. This is how I figure out what book I want to read next. So if I read an article on somebody that I admire, or I listen to a podcast of someone I admire, every time someone recommends that book, I go into my Airtable of all my books that I have, and I put their name on there, and I have it set up where the most popular book is the most book that people have read. So then I'm starting to read things that the people that I admire and follow or want to learn from. It makes more sense. It's not chaos in this whole list of 1,000 books that you're trying to figure out, what do I read next? If the 10 people that I admire the most have all saying, read this book, what am I going to do? Read this book. Read the book. And we also have to get out of quote unquote thinking that certain people who are successful owe you their time. That's not true. You don't have to physically know a person for them to be your mentor. I got plenty of mentors in my head. What do I go through sometimes? Let me tell you guys a trick. This is how you need to use Twitter. I go through some of my favorite people and I read their tweets, or I'll go through advanced search and search book recommendations. Gold mine. There it is right there. So another quote, so I have 2 quotes from my life. My first quote is always be interesting. That is my mantra. I'm trying to figure out, I want to be relatable. And my second quote, which is what I live for, honestly, is every person has value. And I truly believe that every person has value, because when you're, number one, interesting, always interesting, the conversations are different. You could run casually into a person who you really admired in the elevator, if it's a celebrity or whatever, and the first people say like, oh man, I really love you on this. But if you know that they read a book on, Civil War literature, and you say, hey, I just happened to read this book, that conversation is totally different than the 10,000 other people who ask them, hey, can I get your autograph? Totally different. So you have to be able to seize opportunities and be confident in yourself that just your mere presence is enough, and then go for what you want. So always be interesting, and every person has value. Every person has value.
Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So when you're right there and you have that opportunity and you don't say anything, or you say can I get your autograph? There's a whole different dynamic that's at play. And I love that. Then that always be interesting. I recently, someone's looking for an OBM, and I love one of the things they said: this position is not for you if you've not read a nonfiction book or listened to a podcast within the last 6 months. Okay? People don't want people who you don't have nothing new, no new ideas, no new nothing. You just sitting there like, well, I was watching this on Netflix. Netflix is great, but don't spend all your time there. Learn something, do something, you know, all those things that are that make you interesting. Be interesting by listening to podcasts, reading books. And if I want to read this book now. She just recommended.
Okay.
But you know, I'm like, I want to go read that book. I know you mentioned one of my favorite books everybody knows probably is Atomic Habits, because I really do.
That's the book I'm gonna record. That's the book I was gonna talk
Yeah.
about, Atomic Habits.
There's something like really key to building a habit into your life, you know, and you know a book is good when your 15-year-old son was like, can we stop that? We were listening to Audible in the car. He was like, wait a minute, rewind that one part he just said, you know, because normally he put his AirPods on and he don't want to have nothing to do with whatever I'm listening to. But he was like, no, rewind that. And that's something, building that into your life, you know, and building that in a habit. It takes time. It's not going to be easy, but you commit yourself to it. You'd be amazed at the things that you can actually get done.
So good. So good. All right. We're going to take one more question and then we're going to wrap up. I could stay here and talk to y'all all night. Oh my gosh. I might need to have more time for these panel interviews.
I mean, I'm here.
Woo!
Like, I know, right?
So Vanetta is asking, she said her background is in project management and admin, but her business is counseling and coaching related. Would you still recommend she hires an OBM or VA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you onboard clients? Yes. You can have an OBM do that. Do you get a full inbox that you don't want to deal with? Yes, you can get a VA to do that. And I rarely recommend OBMs are not for people that are just starting out. Let's be honest. OBMs are for you people say when you've reached the 6-figure selling mark, because we're not cheap. It's an investment, but you can get a VA, you can get a tech VA. And the way I recommend hiring is, I think Kiva alluded to it earlier, is doing a time dump. What are the things you do for an entire week? And I always say, when you hire an OVA, don't dump everything on them. So do a time dump for the entire week. What are the things I do, or the things I do in my business? Circle 3 things that you know needs to be moved immediately if you hire someone, and start off your OVA with that, because you want a VA to grow with you. So if you start with 3 things, the things I need you to start doing for the 5 hours a week. And then as they get to know you, you get to know them, they get to understand your value, your company, how you work, how you don't work. Then you start and they get comfortable doing the 3 things. Then you start to expand the things they do. But you can get someone to work with your client or doing research for you. Everyone can use help. Yeah. You can be a 1-person company and hire subcontractors to help you once a week. It doesn't have to be a full team, you don't always need that, but I think everyone can use help, because the best way to produce is to work in your zone of genius. And if it's not your zone of genius, have someone else do it and pay them to do it, because it brings more money into your business.
And don't think you can't hire. You know, sometimes we're like, oh, I can only pay $10 an hour or $12 an hour or something. For those of us in the United States, look at the minimum wage. Not every state is the same. There is no, universal minimum wage. So some states it's $7 and some. So you were $10 an hour. That's looking mighty good to some people, because that's something that they're like, wow, wait, I can do this, and I come home, and I'm not having to schlep out the house for $7.25 an hour. So don't think that, oh my God, I can't pay someone $25, $35 an hour or something like that. You start where you are. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's an internship, maybe it's something of that sort, but there are people out there looking for skills. There are people out there who are skilled, and you getting out of your own way will bring in, like AdeOla said, like Ashley said, that's how you're gonna bring in more money into your business. Mm-hmm. But it's not gonna happen if you're still sitting there digging through your inbox, 20,000 emails, can't get to inbox 0, and you trying to book every single appointment, include the Zoom link, and do like all of those little things. And you're sitting there like, oh, I gotta send the reminder email because our meeting's in an hour and it's 58 minutes to our meeting now because I'm late with sending the reminder. No, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
As long as it's kept, some of your guys' marketing budget should have gone to operations in the first place.
Well,
you just don't want no edges left.
well,
But I'm saying your marketing is something, but don't have the capacity to keep it up. So that's gonna reduce your image, make you overwhelmed, and cause you to want to quit. So what are we doing this for?
Let me tell you, do you know, sorry to interrupt you.
How's the car gonna run? You ain't got no oil. You gotta have a system.
Do you know what CEOs do? CEOs are just a visibility people. You're not supposed to be doing operations. You're supposed to be in the visibility bucket of your business because there's visibility, there's sales, there's operations, there's HR. You are supposed to be the visible, depending on what kind of business you're in, but you are the visibility of your business. So all the operations should not be handled by you because you should be sitting in the visibility chair, comfortable, and strategy, comfortably doing the things you're supposed to do because you hired someone to take care of your operations, or you create a system, a background system that runs your operation for you while you are visible and bringing in the clients you need to bring in, and having a system that is well oiled, like you said, that runs that through the entire gamut from A to Z. You're the visibility of your business. Hire people to do the things that you shouldn't be doing and be visible.
right. And match your work. If we can talk budget friendly, match your work. You don't need to be in your inbox all day long. Clients don't need access to you all day long. You check your email in the morning, you check your email at some other point in the afternoon. That's when you check your email. Address everything that's in the email in your inbox, and then you need to move on. Everything that someone else's lack of planning does not become your emergency. It doesn't work that way. That's not why you are in business for yourself. Set your boundaries, enforce your boundaries. Don't sit there being tossed to and fro because you're going to be frustrated and broke.
Said I'm broke.
Well, I think that, like I said, we could probably have a part 2 of this discussion. I feel like this has just been extremely powerful. But I want to give people who gonna listen to this recording a break from not listening to forever, but they probably will love it every minute of it, as am I. If y'all are loving this, let me know in the chat because I am like, oh my gosh. But before we wrap up, I want to make sure to give everybody a chance to understand how they can work with you. So please tell us what kind of businesses you work with and how people can get in touch, and feel free to drop links as well in the chat. And let's start with AdeOla.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm back again. Just kidding. So I am a podcast manager, and I work primarily with businesses that have podcasts or want to have create podcasts as a key marketing strategy for their business. So I help with podcast launch. If you're looking to launch a podcast, you need a team to step in and help you run that baby. I would be the person for you, or you have a podcast and you're going crazy with all the things that you need to do with a podcast, because podcast management is work. We edit show notes, promotions, all the things. I have a team, and we get things done for our clients. My background is in project management, and I still have some OBM clients. So I do have OBM clients, but it's not what I put out there anymore. I'm primarily focused on podcast management. And my website, I'll put in the link, and Instagram, and you can find me there.
Wonderful. You have been such a blessing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ashley-Dior, what kind of clients do you work with, and how can we invest in you?
So I'm probably not as fancy as Kiva and AdeOla. Well, actually, I know I'm not, because 1, I don't even have a website yet. 2, me and Marlena were even talking about this before I even was going to do this panel. I was like, oh, I feel like an imposter. But I had to take that back and realize that no, clearly I'm doing something right, because every single person I worked with, I didn't even ask, that I got referred to. So I wanted to also sow into you guys that you are worthy to do everything that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And your reputation supersedes you. So just always remember that. I work with small business owners, and I'm trying to kind of tailor it to work with specifically Black women small business owners, even though right now it's not just that, to try and increase their productivity and be more efficient, especially streamlining their business. So I do these things called productivity audits. So my ideal client is a person who has like either 2 to 3 years of business and or has a lot of clients or data that I can work with and analyze it to see like, okay, here's something we can work with. This is where you streamline. This is where you need to, take an effect. You need to hire somebody to do this or whatever. Because one thing about me that I realize is that I work well with people, one, that are willing to make the changes, goes back to being specific on who you partner with, because that's what this is, and two, are going to take the necessary steps to put in place to do those changes, because it doesn't make sense for me to try and help you and then you don't do anything with it, because I'm trying to have you succeed. That's a big mindset for some people, is that they feel a certain type of way sometimes, like, oh, I feel like I've just been, failing in this part and I feel bad. Okay, don't think that, but we can now take steps to do better. Going back to the 10 years before, we don't need to keep doing this over and over again. So you guys can email me, I'll put it in the chat, but that's the best way to reach out to me. And I'd love to talk to some of you guys, whoever. You can even ask me anything. It doesn't even have to be related to business. It could be about my Eat, Pray, Love year. It could be about being financially free, whatever the case may be. I'm an open vessel to you guys all. And thank you, Marlena, for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And please drop that email in the chat for us. That is so kind. Thank you for offering, that availability as well. Just phenomenal. And you had imposter syndrome. What? Ma'am, you came through.
What is she talking about?
What? Where is it? Please help me find it, because I don't see it anywhere. Last but not least, Miss Kiva, my dear, how can, who do you work with typically, and how can we work with and invest in you?
Real quick, Mike McAllowitz, who does Profit First, I just want to share this based off of what Ashley said. He recently opened up a mastermind. 10K, he used the Google form. You don't need a website, okay? Because it got full and there was a waiting list. 10K was the investment and it was a Google form. I'm just saying. So as for me, with my OBM side, it is 6-figure businesses, preferably those about 250K in revenue. And because as AdeOla said, we're an investment. And if you're hiring an online business manager, it is an investment in your business. And typically, just crossing 6 figures, that income normally isn't consistent enough, where some days you're like, I don't know if I can keep that OBM. So, I'm trying to have my own stability. So yeah, 250K. But I do also offer intensive. So I do a strategy intensive, which is a 90-minute call, and it's like literally a brain dump, and we map out your next 90 days so that you actually have a plan to move forward and not just floundering, trying to figure it all out. Or we do a half day or full day intensive. So for some, I like to call it the tackle that one thing. People are trying to launch a course, which you like, I know what I want, and I know the course needs what's going to have at the end. But from A to B, I don't really know how to get there. Come talk to me. We're going to map out the whole entire thing, all the things that you need to have in place, who needs to do them, and you walk away with an actual plan to your launch so that your launch is successful, because we're not just trying to launch and then crickets. All right. Or we can also do your onboarding. We do your SOPs, work with you on your processes, get your workflows, canned emails, all of those good things. Because a lot of times we put that stuff off. But sometimes if we take that concentrated time, whether it's 3 hours, whether it's 6 hours, you can knock out a lot of stuff. So, and you can have my website. I'll put that in the chat.
Yes, please drop that in the chat, and as well as your One Thing link as well.
Yeah.
And guys, these links are also included in the event invite. So if you guys want to reach out to these ladies, definitely check that out as well. As the chat will get closed down here pretty soon. Ladies, I don't even have words for how phenomenal this was. Y'all have saved some lives today, I believe. So thank you so much for your gifts. Thank you for being here on this panel. This was invaluable. To those of you who are listening to this recording, hopefully y'all got a lot out of it as well. This is amazing. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and stop.